You're making the videos, you're creating the content, you're doing the part that you need to do. However, you are not getting the response that you were looking for. You're not getting the views, you're not getting the reach. Basically, you're not being represented by the algorithm. We're in a similar boat here at Successipe. For our first month, we were anticipating more or less what we were going to see, and we were getting it. The click-through rate was good, the retention was good. And then month 2 came, which we're going to start diving into, and we started to do small tweaks, sometimes rather drastic and sometimes hardly noticeable, in the thumbnails, in the niches, and then boom, flatline. The algorithm dropped us into a black hole. But this is how we're climbing out. Stay tuned. Before I dive into how we're going to climb ourselves out, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. That keeps this channel going. It keeps the information flowing, and we appreciate it so much. Thank you. So what the hell happened? Well, simply put, we confused the algorithm. If you are a channel and you're sailing around the world, most of your content is going to be about the ocean and what happens on your sailboat. You're rarely going to throw in some crazy ass thing about you doing gymnastics in New York, right? Probably not. So your message is going to be consistent, and the algorithm will start to learn that language, your consistency, and also your direction, and it will stay course on that. But if you start to add in different ideas, different niches, different directions along the way, mixed with the lack of consistency, the algorithm is not going to know what to do with your content. First of all, when I speak of consistency, you have to form a basic work schedule so the algorithm can start to trust when you are on and when you're going to be posting. So if you like to publish on, let's say, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, keep that consistent so that the algorithm will start to anticipate when you are going to be publishing your content. Very key. Secondly, stick to a direction. Yes, you can be pretty loose in your concepts, but as long as the majority of your content has a direction, the algorithm will start to understand that language and also understand your content. So if you're staying consistent with your posting and you're staying consistent with your brand voicing, you're already in the good. Now, what happened with us at Successipe, it wasn't like we were jumping all over the place, but as you can tell, we started to implement these things called mind vibes in. Mind vibes are guided meditations and ways for people to learn how to breathe and center themselves before they start the day, while they're in the day, or at the end of the day. Super powerful, and we are really proud of this channel and what we're doing with it, but I believe we implemented it a little too early. And along with some of the other things that we were doing with our travel series, we started to kind of confuse the algorithm. They weren't really sure what this was. The algorithm at first understood that we were a creative, personal, professional development, right? We had mindset, we had business acumen, and we had creative living. And that is basically what we are doing on this channel. But once we started to bring in these different elements, it was confused about where to push this content to. And then basically what happened was it stopped pushing it to anyone. As you can see here, we had a reach of 0, from a reach of 1,000 to a reach of 0. So this is a huge issue that we are now having to address. And you know what? Again, it goes back to all our videos, as the one you can see right here, where we talk about mindset. The mindset gave us the strength to look at this challenge and give us the possibility to overcome it and succeed. But if we were fragile, we didn't have the mindset, these kinds of setbacks would break us down. I'm gonna be real. Right when this started happening, it was just before we were gonna release another Successipe Insight with Dr. Sadiq Shirazi. It was going to be a really powerful release. We were already getting a lot of momentum. He's an amazing gentleman and doctor and a great voice for Successipe, but we had to kill it. And the reason why we had to kill it was because we knew that it was gonna fall flat. We released 4 videos previous to that, which y'all never saw because the algorithm never sent it to you, and we eventually erased it because we confused the algorithm. And again, going back to what is the confusion of the algorithm? Essentially what I'm talking about is that the YouTube AI doesn't know what population to send the videos to. So what happens? Let's say you have a how to dance cumbia channel, okay? So you would hope that the algorithm would notice this and start to shift all of your content to people that are looking on ways how to either move to Colombia, dance cumbia, something along these lines, right? Something that has to do with dance. But what will happen is if you have confused the algorithm before it completely shuts down, as it did in our case, it will just send it to random places. So what was happening with us was that it was sending content about mental awareness and self-love to real estate people that like to watch real estate videos. Well, they were just clicking on the thumbnail and then boom, forgetting about it. And then after a while of this happening, 3, 4, 5 videos in a row, the algorithm starts to think that, okay, no one's liking this content. The click-through rate is not there. The retention is not there. At first, they start giving some reach. They start giving it to 500, 1,000 people, whatever. And once the algorithm starts to understand the analytics that no one really gives a damn about this content, it starts to bury it. And that's exactly what happened with us. And I know that we are not alone. This is probably happening to you. So when you start to hit a nice incline and people start to watch your videos and then all of a sudden you have a drastic decline, what's happening more than likely is that the messaging inside of the metadata that you are putting in your titles, your thumbnails, or your description, you are not tight enough on the direction to give to the algorithm of YouTube so it knows who your audience is and where to distribute this content. Super important. It's all about finding your audience. And at first, you're a new channel, it's just throwing your stuff out there and seeing what sticks. That's essentially what's happening. And then it goes, oh, okay, these people like it. Okay, these people like it, based on the click-through, the retention, so on and so forth. The algorithm is just learning who your audience is. And that's why it's important to kind of commit to that for a while, because you need to develop who you are and who you want your audience to be. And once you start to develop that, the algorithm will start to snowball and it will start giving more and more and more of that content to your audience. I mean, think about you. You like to watch skateboarding videos. All you need to do is watch 2 or 3, and next you know, your entire feed is of skateboarding videos. Likewise, on the flip side, once people start to like your video and comment on your video and watch your video, the algorithm is going to start feeding your content and your style of content to the people that are watching that niche. Okay? So I hope that's clear. What happened with us is exactly that. We just confused the algorithm. It was sending it to the wrong audience. That audience was like, we don't like this mindful stuff. We don't like to think about posture and mind clarity and abundance. We want to talk about how to sell real estate and grow our portfolios. That's cool, but that's just not our channel. Now, yeah, to be real, it was hard and it's still hard. It's heartbreaking to have all of this good content coming out and have a very nice schedule of things that we're going to be releasing and all of a sudden just be like, boom, axe it, push it to the side. We had to make a huge decision to push all of our content further down the road. And yeah, it's it's definitely not ideal, but I feel that the decision is right to do that because we have to retrain the algorithm. And I will go through how I am doing that. And I will be super transparent with you as I am right now. So then that way, if you hear your voice or your situation in me, buckle up, grab a pen, let's get into it because there's some really good insights here. First of all, I want to comfort you guys. I know it's extremely difficult to be sitting in front of a camera, talking to yourself essentially, and hoping that someone is hearing your voice on the other side. I have been there. My entire career and livelihood has been based off of art. And you know, let me tell you, you have to grow some really, really hard skin. During the time of owning a restaurant, you can have 4 people at a table. 2 of those people absolutely think that the food is the most delicious thing they've ever had in their life. The other 2 will never come back. It's just art. It's always on the chopping block. And whenever you have intention in anything that you do, you are always going to be judged. Think about it. No one cares about McDonald's. There's no intention in McDonald's. Everybody knows it's not the best food. It's not good at all. It's horrible for your body. But hey, they're still in it. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. And nobody really ridicules them about their lack of integrity, right? So, but in this, I just want to let you know that yes, it's an emotional roller coaster. But how are we going to get ourselves straight on this? How are we going to develop a backbone? Well, again, it goes back to the mindset. We have to learn how to energize and practice and heal our mindset. And that's what a lot of these videos are, right? So how do we get out of this hole that we're in? This freaking black hole of the algorithm that they just completely dropped us and forgot about what Successipe is. The way that we're going to get through this is a couple major ingredients. And you can reference this on our last video that we made where we talk about a formula for success, and that is having clarity. We are going to define who and what our audience is, what we want them to gather from Successipe, and that all starts with a clear message. And that message is a creative success mindset. And this is just fine-tuning of wordplay. We are still on the motto that Successipe is about the recipes for success. Yes, and that's already built into the ethos. But we have to continue to drill and drill and drill until we find a couple key words that the algorithm can grab a hold of. Especially when it's not that it's abstract, but anything that has to do with critical thinking and the mind and the body and spirit, it's not as easy as bowling, for example, right? Like that's a very easy topic for the algorithm to get. But if you are in kind of like a niche that is experimental, you're going to have to find the umbrella and then keep digging down and down and down until you really start to get to the microgranule aspects of what you're doing and keep feeding that to the algorithm. That is the concept of clarity and giving a clear message to the algorithm. Next, we have always been very consistent about publishing. We knew that we wanted to do about 2 to 3 times a week. We publish Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Sometimes not always long format. Sometimes it's a mix between shorts, other like TikToks and things like that. And in some cases, when we're trying to reset the algorithm and dial things in, we're releasing 3 long form videos a week as a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. As you will start to see, there's a huge flux of content now coming out to realign things. So I hope you guys appreciate what we're putting out. There is a reason behind that. And of course, that's what we're diving into this video. But again, I want to talk about consistency, and it's more about establishing a work week. Like your boss or whatever, wherever you work, whatever you do, they need to know when you're working, when you're at your desk, or if you own a restaurant, people need to know when you're open. Same concept with the algorithm. They need to know when you're publishing. The more it starts to understand when you are going to be publishing, and then it can anticipate that, even down to the times that you publish. Like I like to publish anywhere between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, as you know, I'm living in Oaxaca, Mexico, and so things are different here, but I still want to be publishing on a California time. So keep that consistent. The third thing that we're going to be focusing on is a niche deep dive. Where are our niches? Who are our people that want to find what we are producing? So again, it's all about finding your audience. We started to deep dive on like who our favorite people are, who's doing the things that we are doing, and what is that niche? Well, as you know, our niche is all about mindset, spirituality, business acumen, creative development, creative living. And so we're starting to kind of really carve out those hashtags and those niches. At first, we were experimenting. We didn't fully know what our hashtags and what our keywords were exactly. We kind of knew, but we wanted to be kind of broad so we can cast a larger net. Seth Godin, an amazing character. If you don't know who he is, I recommend you go and check it out. I'll put his book right here, one of many of his books. He talks about how diluted you become when you cast too big of a net. And he always says the same thing over and over again. He says he's written 10 or 20, I don't remember, but countless New York Times bestsellers, and it only reached not even 1% of the population. So he's saying you don't need to reach everybody, you just need to reach your audience, and your audience will support you. I can't not stress how important that is, and I believe in it to my bone marrow. In the beginning, you cast a big net with keywords and key terms and hashtags, but then you start to slowly whittle things down into where you know that you are and where your sweet spot is. All right, so we looked at our clarity, what's our message? We looked at our consistency, when and how and what time are we posting, and we did some niche deep dives. We got into the engine, we're fine tuning it, and we're going to start the process back over like we just started, but actually we're even in a further hole. We're not fresh anymore because we were kicked out by the algorithm. And I want to go back to this concept of the journey, right? It's not about the destination, it's the journey. It is going to kick your butt mentally, spiritually, and maybe even physically, depending on the type of filming and content you do. But right now, I'm not even stressing about the views. I'm already knowing I'm gonna get 0, 4, 6, 10 views. It's not gonna be what we should be getting, receiving, because the algorithm has dumped us. It doesn't even know who our audience is. So in these kinds of times, in these reset moments, it's all about patience and being confident, having that positive mindset. I am just putting out this content that I know I need to put out and I know others want to hear, and I'm just leaning into the fun of that. And I'm leaning into the journey here. The outcome, I'm not even stressing about, because again, it's about redefining and retuning our message and what Successipe is, and telling the story about how we're climbing ourselves out of this black hole that the algorithm dropped us in. If you're still watching, I want to thank you for sticking around, but I want to leave you with this. Success isn't about the highlights. It's about pushing through when you feel invisible. It's about learning from the lows and coming back smarter and stronger. That's the real Successipe. And if you're feeling stuck or buried, write that in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling. You're not alone. We're digging ourselves out together with a couple simple tools, a couple simple reminders on how to focus and pull your image and your thought and your focus together so you can have the highest form of success in what you're doing. Thanks for sticking around, you guys. I'm your host, Jason of the Successipe. And remember, we are just getting started. I appreciate you being a part of this journey here with us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, that like button, drop some comments below. Let's continue to build this community together. Transparency is so important. So many times throughout my professional career and talking to other professionals, they hid from their failures. The ego was too big, or they thought that if they spoke about failures or non-success stories, then nobody would want to eat at their establishments or buy their product or listen to them talk. But the reality is, showing that you are human and that you are not perfect and that all of us are learning, it creates a very humanistic understanding of this process, and we are all students of this game. Yes, I have experience of running businesses and teaching other people on mindset and how to build businesses from the ground up. At the same exact time, I fail all the time. And I am constantly learning new things. And if I wasn't, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be growing. I wouldn't be going through the challenges that I am today. And I am so thankful for these challenges, and I'm so thankful to be sharing them with you and being transparent to my audience. We appreciate you so much. Till next time, y'all. Ciao.